with fancy coats like he has here. And so what happened is they lost the red cuffs and collars, they lost the bright blue dye, and they lost the fancy white lacing. Eventually they turned to just a very boring gray coat. However, he is lucky enough to actually have a nice coat of his own. We are a little bit different. We're representing British soldiers, and we have the very famous red coat. However, if you notice, both our cuffs and collars and our breastplates and buttons are a little bit different. This is because we're part of two different regiments. He's a part of the 103rd, I'm a part of the Regiment de Watteville. So the 103rd, it's a newer regiment, and they actually were not very skillful or trained quite well. However, they were fierce fighters. They lost, during the night battle, August 15th, 1814, they lost 76% of their ranking, attacking Douglas Battery, and lost their two highest commanding officers. So quite horrible in the night assault. However, as I said, they were fierce, and the youngest that actually died from this regiment was 14 years old. They were so desperate of reinforcements that they brought their boy corps with them, which is like a modern day cadets, and they had to help with the fighting, and that's why they unfortunately lost the little one. I'm a part of the Regiment de Watteville. So this regiment came from Europe in 1813 as reinforcements during the War of 1812. This was a very multicultural regiment. This regiment originally brought up with Swiss, but they traveled through Europe, really enlisting anyone who wanted to fight against France during the Napoleonic War. However, once that was finishing up, they needed more reinforcements to come over here to Upper Canada, and so that's why we brought our regiment here. There's multiple languages being spoken within this regiment, which is rather quite cool. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the guns that are being shot off here. So what we are carrying are Brown Besses, 75 caliber flintlock muskets.
Cool.
So what happens is you put the black powder into that pan over here, you close up the pan, then you put the rest of the round down the barrel and you pull back the hammer. Then once you pull the trigger, the hammer shoots forward like this, creating a spark, and that spark lands into the priming charge where a little bit of the black powder is inside here. Then it sends fire into a little tiny hole on the side of the barrel and lights off the rest of the round that is here. And it shoots out the musket the other end. However, these weapons are not the greatest. That is because they are a smooth bore. So that means it's very, very smooth on the outside and it's very, very smooth on the inside. There is no rifling or divots to help give the musket ball a spiral. The one fancy guy over there, actually, he's a part of the 4th Riflemen, originally raised in Pennsylvania, so he's an American, in upstate New York. He's actually a rifleman. So it's a little bit smaller of a barrel, and there's divots and spirals which help with accuracy, and so his musket, or not rifle, is actually much better to aim with. However, it takes longer to load, and it's much more expensive to buy. And so many of the regular soldiers are outfitted with these very plain, very, kind of useless muskets over here. The problem is the musket ball is a lot smaller than the barrel. So when the musket ball goes down the end, before it shoots out, it hits against the walls like a pinball machine and then basically shoots out whichever direction. And that's why you cannot have musket men just very separate from everybody and picking off people one at a time, because you really can't pick off anyone. The ball goes wherever. So if you know in those movies when you have, let's say, a guy loading his musket and the guy's 200 yards away and he just picks him off and he hits him in the head or the chest perfectly, very inaccurate, never would have happened with these guns here. And so that is why you have an open field battle with each soldier standing shoulder to shoulder on an open battlefield shooting straight ahead of them. They want to get a volley. What a volley is many soldiers shooting all at once so that they have a wall of musket balls firing straight ahead of them, and accuracy and aim isn't as big of a problem. So we are going to shoot these off. I'm going to talk about another problem, which is misfires, in which you may see or may not. Hopefully we don't see them. So there's a misfire, 1 in every 5 shots, and it could have a number of reasons to why that would happen. A misfire is basically the musket does not go down the end, so it never goes off. One is that any of the time it's not nice out, so bad weather, if it's either rainy or kind of humid, that black powder inside the pan can get all goopy and wet. And when you're relying on sparks hitting into the pan here, it won't go off. Because you're relying on this charge to go off to send fire into the bottom of the barrel there. And so when it doesn't light off here, it can't send the fire through. As well, if you're shooting these muskets regularly on a battlefield, you're not going to be cleaning them. If there's a little tiny hole on the side of the barrel gets clogged, you can have a flash in the pan. So what a flash in the pan is that charge goes off, but it doesn't send fire through here, so this charge that is going out the end doesn't go off. So you have a number of problems there.